Alright, y'all, this is just so y'all can actually see my face, and I'm gonna put the video in behind this or whatever. But yeah, this protection rhetoric, I mean, it sounds good and genuine. I do think in situations where, women need protection, of course, it'd be great if there was a man there, like if she's being attacked by a dog, or if there's another situation, like maybe a car wreck or something like that, and, a man can step in and help. But specifically when it comes to men that talk about protecting women, because we understand that the number one threat to women in society is going to be from other men, I think the protection rhetoric becomes a bit problematic. And the following video is going to, in my words and my thoughts, explain why. All right, y'all. So, what's going on? I am driving right now, but I had a thought. I just shared a post a minute ago. Some dude said, like the bro code should be don't harm drunk women, which I agree with. But on that post that I shared, I decided to raise him, or like raise the stakes or whatever, and say the bro code should be not to harm women. So it kind of has me thinking about the whole slogan or the statement or sentiment or whatever of protect black women, which I agree with. I don't disagree with that in the slightest. But it kind of occurred to me to talk about maybe the juxtaposition between protecting women and not harming women, specifically black women, but I do think that it applies to all women, generally speaking, and girls too. So the thing about it is, when it comes to let me address it like this first. So when you say don't harm women, especially when you're talking about in the confines of men protecting women and stuff like that, which I oftentimes will insert anytime that conversation is going on. And it's not because I disagree with, protecting women, but it's more so to put the onus back on us as men whenever that conversation is going on. Majority of us as men, we understand that whenever we talk about women, protecting women, majority of the times, it's not all of those times, it's going to be women are going to be being protected from other men. So that being said, whenever I rebut with that, or I respond with that, it's always to make sure that we keep it on the fact that if men didn't harm women, there wouldn't be a real need to protect women. And the reason, I think a key reason to do that is when it comes to people talking about protection, there are so many times that a lot of men will try to qualify the protection that we give to women, and women will even join in at times and talk about the protection and oh, well, you did this, so you don't deserve protection. Oh, well, he told you not to do this and you ended up being harmed. And as I've been saying for a while now, I think ever since, at least on Twitter, around the same time that Eliana Amdan was murdered last year, regardless of whether or not your protector is there, whether it be your husband, your boyfriend, your brother, your father, something like that, regardless of whether or not they're there with you, you can still be harmed by a man. Let alone the fact that oftentimes the quote-unquote protectors are the predators in that situation that's actually causing harm to women. Because as we learned so gratuitously during the Brick Lady situation last year, a majority of the harm that comes to women comes from men that they knew, which is something that a lot of men was pointing out profusely whenever we were talking about strangers and stuff inflicting harm against women, and why men weren't there to protect women. So with that being said, whenever we talk about protection, I normally don't like to talk about it with other men, with certain types of other men, because a lot of times they will try to qualify the protection that they'll give to women, saying that, oh, I'll only give it to the women in my proximity, or like my daughter or my girlfriend, which I can understand. I get it. But at the end of the day, the onus, I think, has been put so much on protecting black women and women in general, that more people have felt the leeway to try and judge and to try and qualify the women that don't deserve protection, right? Because the protection that people are talking about is normally under the guise of, damn, what the hell was that? It's normally under the guise of, okay, I've done this and I've told you to do this. Now that you've done everything that I told you to do and this still happened, now I will go to bat for you because you did everything that I said that you were supposed to do and this still happened to you. Or you're under my care or my charge, and I'm supposed to be there for you because I'm your boyfriend or your husband, whatever. And yeah, and then you did everything I recommended, and this still happened to you. So now I'm going to go ahead and go to bat for you or something like that. And the reason why I'm explaining it like that is because normally whenever things like that happen, or whenever something unfortunate happens where there was a man that chose to harm a woman or that harmed a woman, and there was not, her protector or whatever was there to protect her, or was unable to protect her at that point in time, oftentimes it's always levied against the victim. Oh, well, you should have did this, or you should have did that, or why were you in this such and such place dressed like that, or at this point in time during the night or whatever, or this is a bad place, why were you here doing whatever it was that you were doing or whatever. And at the end of the day, I understand that then, this is the world we live in, and things can be grabbed, things can be plotted out in terms of like trends and activities and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, these things wouldn't happen if a lot of these things anyways would not happen if there was not a man there to cause the harm. And regardless of whether or not there's, the protector there to protect, there's always going to be, not always, but chances are there's going to be a man there to cause harm. So, and the other thing too that I think is kind of problematic when we talk about, things to do that qualify as a protection of women and stuff like that, is the fact that, say for instance, a woman is out walking, like even in another country, and she doesn't have a man with her. If she doesn't have a man with her, then that's like saying that automatically sets her apart as a target, because now, okay, well, you don't have a man with you. Now I can attack you. I can do all this kind of things because why are you out walking or doing whatever without a man? So I think whenever we try to assert or push that type of rhetoric, it kind of ostracizes and paints those women that are not in proximity to a man at whatever point in time as a target of other men that would, see them as a target, the other predatory type of men. Of course, women can still be preyed upon while in the proximity of a man. Oftentimes, the man that's going to prey on them is going to be the man that is supposed to be there to protect them. As I said before, the protector to predator pipeline is real, and oftentimes it's predicated on the exact same power dynamic or power structure that is relied upon in order to establish the permits or the parameters of said protection. Such as, when brothers or fathers end up preying, or not even just brothers or fathers, but other male figures end up preying on the women in their family, because there's that dynamic, well, I'm the head of the house, or I'm your protector, and because they have that leverage over the people they're supposed to be protecting, then they can exercise a certain type of power and say, oh, well, if you're going to have issues with with what I just did, then I'm not going to protect you anymore. And we see this play out in several fields, several areas. So, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. Whenever we actually have the notion about, protecting women, again, I don't disagree with it. I understand. And I think that oftentimes whenever that, I think the genuine aspect of that conversation, I think it is what it is. It's genuine. But I think there are those that do seek to justify the predation of women, or the preying on of women. And they use that notion of saying, okay, well, if you don't have a man, then therefore you deserve to be attacked, or you deserve whatever it is that happens to you. Or if you don't have a man, then this explains why this happened to you, because you didn't have a man. And the fact of the matter is, I think that we should kind of start moving away from that rhetoric, because it is counterproductive. It is a little problematic, in my opinion. What was I going to say? Yeah, I think the rhetoric should be more so to not harm women, because then not only does it put the onus on men, it also takes away any quote unquote accountability from the victim in these situations, because that's what a lot of these victim blamers try to do. A lot of predator apologists or whatever, they try to look for ways to pin the accountability, pin the blame back on the victim in these situations. And the fact of the matter is, I think that's what the protection rhetoric essentially enables these type of people to do. The rhetoric, I think, or the talking point should be to not harm, women, which I understand this maybe speaking from the perspective of wanting a perfect world. But then at the end of the day, I do think that's what the rhetoric about protection gives way to. Peace.